My name is Isaac Mashman, and you are now listening to episode 1 of the Hustler's Choice podcast. Now, guys, in today's episode, I'm going to be setting the tone for future episodes. I'm going to be explaining my vision, what I'm going to be doing, the topics that I will cover, and a variety of other things. And on the second half of the podcast, I will be talking about a little bit of some analogies and some different tools that I've been able to use to see some success in my own physical life and to see some progress, rather, to be the best individual I can. I'm not going to spoil anything else, but I really also want to tell you that I am grateful for you taking the time out of your busy schedules to listen to today's podcast, and stay tuned for future episodes. Enjoy! What is going on, everyone? My name is Isaac Mashman, and you are now listening to the Hustler's Choice podcast. Many of you probably know that I actually had my own podcast several months back called the Isaac Mashman Show, but I decided to put that on the back burner, and I figured that it was time to start something new, to start fresh, and to really be able to provide value on a level that I was unable to previously in my other podcasts and my other endeavors. So guys, the podcast, this is episode 1, but this is going to be mainly an introduction to tell you guys what to expect in future episodes, my goal with the podcast, what I'm aiming to do, and some of the information and knowledge that you will be able to obtain coming from my experience and the experiences of other people. So as the name implies, the Hustler's Choice podcast, right? It's aimed at hustlers, but the thing is, hustlers does not just correlate with rappers. It doesn't correlate with musicians or people on the street, anything like that, right? Anyone who has a job, anyone who has a side hustle or a business, that is considered a hustler, right? If you think about it, an engineer could technically be a hustler because they have a hustle that they are doing. So guys, with my goal is to bring people from all around the world, from all walks of life, from all different occupations, who are aiming to really conquer their goals, to really make an impact and make things happen in the world. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be bringing people from all these different areas, from all these different occupations, and having them tell you, my audience, some of their experiences. They're going to teach you what they know. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to be in an interview fashion talking to these people, not even on an interview fashion, but just on a conversation level, because I believe that every single person has something that we can learn from, right? If I was put into a room right now with 1 million people and I could ask them for anything, I would choose to ask them for one thing that I could learn from, right? Because the smart man learns from his own mistakes, right? The fool doesn't learn from his mistakes at all. But the genius and the wise man learns from the mistakes of others. Because face it, guys, in this current day and age, in the age of social media, with how everything is moving, how fast-paced life really is, your goal should be to cut time frames, to learn things at such a rapid pace, and to learn from the mistakes of others so you can get more accomplished in half the time. You could spend your entire life making the same exact mistakes, but in reality, other people have made those exact mistakes, guys. You see what I'm saying? So my podcast, the Hustler's Choice podcast, is really going to be a catalyst to something great. I already have a bunch of guests lined up, a bunch of episodes. I will probably be dropping an episode on a bi-weekly basis, just for the sake of, I don't want to overcrowd you guys. And in my own personal life, I'm working on establishing my own business, and we all have our own things to do. So I don't want to overload you with information. I want to overload you with things to learn from, because guys, the information and the people that I'm going to be bringing on, it's going to be information heavy. It's going to be speaking, I'm not just going to bring any person on. I want the people that I bring on to have a background, to have experience in whatever field they are in, because I know that time is the most valuable thing, and time is the one thing that we will never be able to get back. It's the most expensive thing in existence. And I know a lot of times people are like, oh, money is time. That's not the case. That is not the case. Because if you were to ask, an 80-year-old person, what is one thing they wish they could get back, and it would be time. Because we only have an hourglass that has so much sand, and as soon as that sand runs out, we're not able to flip that hourglass back up over upside down. So guys, for any of you who are listening to my old podcast, the Isaac Mashman Show, I'm going to definitely be expressing a lot of different changes. Or what I'm trying to say is there are going to be a lot of differences between my first and original podcast and the Hustler's Choice podcast. Part of the reason why I wanted to change the Isaac Mashman Show is because, one, the title just sounded way too, it had a bad taste in my mouth, because I was like, it sounds way too way too much about me on a narcissistic level, which I wasn't narcissistic, it's just I didn't like the sound of it. And instead of changing the name and all these other things, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna just start fresh because this is like a new canvas. And we are the artist, we are the person who can paint the canvas in whatever way, in whatever fashion we want to and we can. So I'm really excited to see where this goes, where it takes off, and the information that we'll be able to bring to you guys, because man, it is a constant learning experience, right? Because life, you will never have everything figured out in life. That's a hard truth. That's a hard fact that I've had to come to realize in my own personal life, because I'm a very logical thinker, right? I like to have everything figured out. I like to know how everything's going to work out. But the one thing that I realized is that is impossible. And that is the beauty behind life. That is the beauty behind the human condition, because we are on this constant journey of self-discovery. We are on this constant journey of growth, on new things, new information. And once you understand that, once you have that healthy respect for that growth, that's when life really starts to get good, guys, because one of the things that I've also come to realize is that in order to grow and in order to become successful, you have to do three things. One, you have to have faith in the process. Now, whether or not that is religion, the law of attraction, the universe, whatever you might believe in, you have to trust the process. And that speaks to the emotional and spiritual side of success. Now, aside from that, you also have to believe in yourself, because you can trust in a higher form of creation, whatever you believe in, but if you do not believe in yourself and think and know in the bottom of your heart that you are capable of doing whatever you put your mind to, you will not get anywhere in life. You will literally be running around in circles like a dog chasing its tail, and you will not move anywhere in life. So you have to, one, trust the process, trust in, the law of attraction or something higher. Secondly, you have to believe in yourself and know that you are capable of doing whatever you put your mind to. And the third thing, which speaks to the physical side of success, is you have to actually do the work. You have to put in the effort behind what you are doing. Because you can be the most self-aware individual in the entire world. You can have all the wisdom in the world. Now, that does not matter. The only way that wisdom can actually help you out, or that self-awareness can help you out, is if you put your thoughts into action, if you put that wisdom to use. If you see there is an issue in your personal life, then why don't you go ahead and break down, devise a plan, and make the changes wherever the change is necessary, right? If you go about your life and you're like, oh, I really shouldn't, I shouldn't be smoking, or I really need to, cut back drinking, and all of these other things, and you have that self-awareness to understand that, but you don't have the actual willpower. You don't have the willpower to change your situation and to change your mindset. Now, in my own personal life, I was way too focused on the big wins. I wanted to take the Isaac Mashman Show podcast and bring it up to a top 50, a top 100 podcast. I was not ready. I've set some really lofty goals. I've set the goal of making X amount of dollars per month, and I wanted to do that before I was even 18. Guys, whenever I started the podcast, I was 17. I'm 18 years old now, turning 19 here in a couple months at the time that I'm recording this episode, which is in June of 2019. But I set some extremely lofty goals that I knew in the back of my mind that I would not be able to achieve them. Now, I was thinking back and I was like, Isaac, if I really achieved those goals and I actually made that happen, I would not have been able to stand the success, right? To make $1 million is one thing, but to be able to keep that $1 million or make another $1 million is something entirely different, right? If you try to rush the process, if you try to rush into a relationship, rush into a business, rush into the growth, then it's not going to be a lasting success, more than likely, right? If you think about the Roman Empire, the Greek Empire, they were not built overnight. The United States of America, which is arguably one of the greatest countries on the face of this planet that civilization has ever produced, was not built overnight. It was built over a period of several hundred years. So one of the things that I've realized is we have to be, because this is not about me, but this is about you. Now, we have to start stacking up the small wins. The way I view it is almost like a Lego tower, right? Those little small Lego bricks that if you step on, they hurt like heck. Now, if you take one Lego and put it on another Lego, it's not really that, it's not that big. Now, if you take those smaller Legos and continually stack them on top of each other, eventually you will have a big tower, right? Your Legos, one Lego will grow into 100 Legos, and you'll have a huge, beautiful masterpiece, right? Or at least in the eyes of a kid, right? If you go and think back to when you used to play with Legos or play with toys, you would add things on top of one another. And that is kind of how success is. We have to add those little wins. We have to add those wins brick by brick by brick until we have a wall, until we have a tower, until we have just whatever empire, whatever construction that we want to have in life. So guys, that is something I've realized that I'm really trying to force or portray in this podcast, rather, that the small things count. The small little nuggets that you're going to be picking up count, right? Everyone is going around looking for the answer, looking for, quote, the secret, looking for the answer to solve all of their issues, to solve their life, to make their life better. And I hate to break it to you, but there is no secret. If you ask any successful person, they're literally going to tell you there is no secret, or they're going to tell you something which is just a bunch of fluff. In reality, the secret is you have to put in the work, you have to put in the effort, and you have to grow yourself. That is about as simple as it can get, because I realized that in my own personal life, as soon as I stopped growing as an individual, my success stopped growing. My success stopped my success rather only went as far as I grew. Now, in the recent months that I've really got back into my craft, that I've really started to put the focus back on entrepreneurship and my personal growth as an individual and as an entrepreneur, as a person, and as Isaac Mashman, I have seen some major changes in my life, not only on a relationship level, but on a physical level, and now coming into a financial aspect as well. And guys, you have to continually grow. You have to take the little information as it comes. So I encourage you as these episodes keep going, as I get new guests on that have different experiences than you have, take the knowledge, take the little nuggets, and go ahead, and they will add up over time. I have been studying entrepreneurship from the time that I first got involved in it in 2017. Now, 2 years is not a whole lot of time, but that is also a lot of time for information that I've been able to acquire, been able to live out, and now I feel like I am in this position to where I know more than some. I don't know anything compared to some others, though, but I am in a position to be able to help others just because of my influence and being able to help others with the information that I do know, and by bringing the other people together on this show, the Hustler's Choice podcast. So guys, I will not spend any more of your time right now, but I am really looking forward to episode 2 of the Isaac Mashman show. Absolutely wrong. Sorry about that, guys. My mind is so that speaks to the subconscious mind. But anyways, I am looking forward to episode 2 of the Hustler's Choice podcast, because I know that it is going to be great, and I have some up and coming rappers that are going to be on. I have some other media influencers, some other I don't want to necessarily say big names, but people that have had a lot of experience in their fields and have had some major success that I'm going to be getting onto the show in the upcoming months. So stay tuned, guys, and remember, success before us. Now, I also will leave you with this. Check me out on social media. I would greatly appreciate it. I am on all social media platforms at Isaac Mashman, and you can also check me out on isaacmashman.com and hustlerschoice.com. Until next time, guys, keep crushing it, and let's go ahead and absolutely make 2019 our year. You got this.